the entire great state of New Jersey. But you mentioned that you were in the House, and there you represented a district that Donald Trump won twice, despite the fact that you also won as a Democrat. And you've worked under both Democratic and Republican presidents. Where do you think you can specifically work with soon-to-be President Trump?
Well, look, this is, you're right. Yeah, I'm a Democrat that won a congressional district that Trump won twice. I've learned how to be able to engage and also try to build coalitions in that type of way. And there definitely are some issues that I hope we can find agreement on and find a work together. For instance, my district in New Jersey was getting crushed by the opioid crisis. Fentanyl has been a major problem. And as someone who's worked in national security, we get so concerned about, challenges abroad. But right here at home, over 100,000 Americans losing their lives. A deep mental health crisis that we're facing, especially for our youth. As a father to a second grader and a fourth grader, I worry about their generation. These are issues that I know we've talked through. I worked in national security before, a lot of bipartisan concerns about American global competitiveness, about the United States and China, what that means going forward. I helped pass the bipartisan Chips and Science Act. I'd love to see a 2.0 version, something where we can invest maybe in artificial intelligence, other places where we can figure out how to be able to propel America going forward and make sure that the innovation of the future is one that we are able to generate.
We got a reminder of what it's like when Donald Trump is in charge. He's not quite there yet, but the reminder, of course, was when he blew up the bipartisan deal to fund the government. You ready for the next 4 years?
Well, look, I at least feel better knowing that I have a vote of 100, 1 out of 100 in the U.S. Senate. A vote to be able to review the nominations for cabinet, for judges, justices, others. And so, look, it's a challenge. I was in the Congress for 2 years when Trump was president before. I've seen with my own eyes. I've understood and seen the challenges that are going to come that I'm worried about. But I feel it's important to be able to engage right now more than ever. I've often been saying that I believe that the opposite of democracy is apathy. So when I see these challenges, then no doubt there are challenges ahead, but I can't throw up my hands. I can't say, oh, I feel helpless in this moment. Here's a chance for me to try to make a mark. Well,
you mentioned that you will have votes on the president-elect's nominees. That is one of the many differences between being in the House and in the Senate. You were one of the first to say that you did not believe Matt Gaetz, your former House colleague, should be the Attorney General. Is it possible, though, that you could vote for any of the big nominees, Kash Patel for DOD or Kash Patel for FBI, Pete Hegseth for DOD?
Well, look, I have had conversations with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. I had to sit down with Senator Rubio. I'm still going through the process, and I want to make sure I'm doing it right. But those were good conversations where we were able to dive in deep. And so, I think that there are some nominees that are people I think I can work with. But I also am deeply concerned about what I've heard Mr. Patel say in the past and about, going after things. Like he is being nominated for a role to lead an agency that he has talked about dismantling, talked about the deep state, and going after. I was a career public servant before in the federal government. I worked under both Bush and Obama. I served the country, not a party. And I worry about some of the tones there with Hegseth. I hope to have a chance to be able to speak with him, but some of what he said before about not thinking that women should serve in combat, some of the other allegations that we've heard about, deeply alarming. I worked at the Pentagon before, in the office of the Secretary of Defense. I know what that job is like, and I need to know whether or not he is up to the task. And so far, I have real concerns.
We are coming up on 4 years since Donald Trump challenged what had been the peaceful transition of power on January 6th. You cleaned up trash in the Capitol Rotunda after the devastation. We're seeing a picture of that now. Are you worried the history of that day has already been rewritten by Donald Trump and his supporters?
Yes. Yes, I worry.
What do you do about it?
I worry about this a lot because, the way I sort of talk about it is, our country, we have this great motto of e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And I've often kind of thought through, like, how does that happen? There's a missing verb there. How do you get from many to one? And it's so important that we have a shared sense of this country, its history, its definition. But we're losing sight of this idea that we're part of something bigger than all of us. And when I see what happened on that day, we saw it with our own eyes, those of us that were in Congress. The American people saw it. People all over the world saw it. And the idea that it's being papered over and that the people that attacked the Capitol, rioted, that they're being talked as liberators, as prisoners now that are being unfairly treated. We are a nation of rule of law. And it does break my heart. Every day that I go into the Capitol, I go to the rotunda, I think about what we saw on that day and how we should always commit to never having that happen again. This nation is such a great nation, and we were brought to such a sad moment on that day. We should commit ourselves to never letting that happen again, but instead, we see that, unfortunately, being a different lesson that many are taking away.
Well, this coming January 6th will be different for many, many reasons. We appreciate you coming on and wish you a happy new year. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
He's been a Trump skeptic, but now as Governor Chris Sununu leaves office, is there still a place in the